Maybe. Did it start? There it goes. And howdy, everyone. Welcome to the Other Books. Howdy, Lynn. Howdy, Gwen.
Guten Morgen. I still have 10 minutes where I'm from, so it's still morning.
Okay, if you insist. All right. Today we are continuing on in the book of Jasher with chapters 13, 14, and 15. And if you want to look at Jasher and some other books that are not included in the Bible, go to sacredtexts.com. And then you have the CRA/index to look at. When this has chat, we'll put that in the chat.
Or if you have $16 million, you can buy a sapper.
Unless he changes it again. Okay, anyways, let's go ahead and pray in, shall we?
This one for $15 million.
Got it where? What one is that?
I'll sell you this one for... This is my Defender Bible. It has Enoch and Jasher and all that in the back.
Nice.
Wow.
We can use it as weights for exercises.
It even comes with multicolored bookmarks.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me. Okay, let's pray in. Heavenly Father, thank you very much for giving us this time to come together so that we can fellowship and take a look at this book of Jasher, which has been mentioned in Scripture. And we just ask for you to pour out your spirit of discernment and knowledge on us so that we can get the message that you would like us to get from what we're reading and see how it does apply to the Holy Scriptures and where it connects. We thank you for that. We ask for you to heal people's houses that are having trouble right now, and also those that are having physical issues as well as spiritual issues. We'd ask you to clear those up as well. For all the people we come in contact with who are not on page with you, we would ask you to soften their hearts so that you can plant seeds and that they would seek you out as well, so that we get more brothers and sisters. Thank you, Father. Bless you in Jesus Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, let me get this, see if I can figure out this the share thing.
You have to show me how to do that.
Okay, so down where it says present or invite, you click that and you do share screen, and then you click what you want to share, which in this case is...
We talked about this before. You have to do that when that screen is in front of me so I can follow instructions.
The book of Jasher, and then you click share, but then it's messed up. So you have to press share, add to stage over here, and then the book appear. Whoa. Okay.
Okay.
Who was reading chapter 13?
Me. Pick me. Okay. Here we go. And Terach took his son Abram and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and Sarai, his daughter, in the law, the woman of his son Abram, and all the souls of his household, and went with them from her Kadessim to go to the land of Canaan. And when they came as far as the land of Haran, they remained there, for it was exceedingly good land for the pasture and of sufficient extent for those who accompanied them. And the people of the land of Haran saw that Abram was good and upright with Elohim and men, and Yahuwah Eloheu, interesting, was with him, and some of the people of that land of Haran came to join Abram, and he taught them the instructions of Yahuwah and his ways. And these men remained with Abram in his house, and they adhered to him. And Abram remained in the land 3 years. And at the expiration of 3 years, Yahuwah appeared to Abram and said to him, I am Yahuwah, who brought you forth from Ur Kadessim Kedeshim, and delivered you from the hands of all your enemies. And now, therefore, if you will hearken to my voice and guard my commandments, my statutes, and my Torah, then I will cause your enemies to fall before you, and I will multiply your seed like the stars of the heaven, and I will send my blessing upon all the works of your hands, and you shall lack nothing. Arise now, take your woman and all belonging to you, and go to the land of Canaan and remain there. And I will be there unto you for an Elohim, and I will bless you. And Abram rose and took his woman and all belonging to him, and he went to the land of Canaan as Yahuwah had told him. And Abram was 50 years old when he went from Haran. And Abram came to the land of Canaan and dwelt in the midst of the city. And he there pitched his tent amongst the children of Canaan, inhabitants of the land. And Yahuwah appeared to Abram when he came to the land of Canaan and said to him, This is the land which I gave unto you and to your seed after you forever. And I will make your seed like the stars of the heaven, and I will give unto your seed for an inheritance all the land which you see. And Abram built an altar in that place where Elohim had spoken to him. And Abram there called upon the name of Yahuwah. At that time, at the end of the 3 years of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, in that year Noah died, which was 58 year, which was the 58th year of the life of Abram. And all the days that Noah lived were 950 years, and he died. And Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, he, his woman, and all belonging to him, and all those that accompanied him, together with those that joined him from the people of the land. But Nahor, Abram's brother, and Terach, his father, and Lot, the son of Haran, and all belonging to them dwelt in Haran. In the fifth year of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, the people of Sodom and Amorah and all the cities of the plain revolted from the power of Kedorlaomer, king of Elam. For all the kings of the cities of the plain had served Kedorlaomer for 12 years, and given him yearly tax. But in those days, in the 13th year, they rebelled against him. And in the 10th year of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, there was a war between Nimrod, king of Shinar, and Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Nimrod came to fight with Kedorlaomer and to subdue him. For Kedorlaomer was at that time one of the princes of the hosts of Nimrod. And when all the people at the tower were dispersed, and those that remained were also scattered upon the face of the earth, Kedorlaomer went to the land of Elam and reigned over it and rebelled against the Lord. And in those days, when Nimrod saw that the cities of the plain had rebelled, he came with pride and anger to war with Kedorlaomer. And Nimrod assembled all his princes and subjects, about 700,000 men, and went against Kedorlaomer and Kedar, went out to meet him with 5,000 men, and they prepared for battle in the valley of Babel, which is between Elam and Shinar. And all those kings fought there, and Nimrod and his people were smitten before the people of Kedar. And there fell from Nimrod's men about 600,000, and Merdon, the king's son, fell amongst them. And Nimrod fled and returned in shame and disgrace to his land. And he was under subjection to Kedar for a long time. And Kedar returned to his land and sent princes of hosts to the kings that dwelt around him, to Erech, king of Elkar, and to Tidal, king of nations, and cut a covenant with them. And they were all obedient to his commands. And it was in the 15th year of Abram's dwelling in the land of Canaan, which is the 70th year of the life of Abram. And Yahuwah appeared to Abram in that year and said to him, I am Yahuwah, who brought you out from Ur-Kedishim to give you this land for an inheritance. Now, therefore, walk before me and be perfect and guard my commands. For to you and to your seed I will give this land for an inheritance, from the river Mitzrayim unto the great river Pereth, and you shall come to your fathers in peace and in good age, and the fourth generation shall return here in this land and shall inherit it forever. Ooh, interesting. And Abram built an altar, and he called upon it the name of Yahuwah, who appeared to him. And he brought up sacrifices upon the altar to Yahuwah. At that time, Abram returned and went to Haran to see his father and mother and his father's household. And Abram and his woman and all belonging to him returned to Haran. And Abram dwelt in Haran 5 years. And many of the people of Haran, about 72 men, followed Abram, and Abram taught them the instructions of Yahuwah and his ways, and he taught them to know Yahuwah. In those days, Yahuwah appeared to Abram in Haran and said to him, Behold, I have spoken unto you these 20 years back, saying, Go forth from your land, from your birthplace, and from your father's house, to the land which I have shown you, to give it to you and your children. For there in that land I will bless you, and make you a great nation, and make your name great, and in you shall the families of the earth be blessed. Now therefore rise, go forth from this place, you, your woman, and all belonging to you, also everyone born in your house, and all the souls you have made in Haran, and bring them out with you from here, and rise to return to the land of Canaan. And Abram rose and took his woman Sarai, and all belonging to him, and all that were born to him in his household, and the souls which they had made in Haran, and they came out to go into the land of Canaan. And Abram went and returned to the land of Canaan according to the word of Yahuwah. And Lot, the son of his brother Haran, went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he went forth from Haran to return to the land of Canaan. And he came to the land of Canaan according to the word of Yahuwah to Abram, and he pitched his tent, and he dwelt in the plain of Mamre. And with him was Lot, his brother's son, and all belonging to him. And Yahuwah again appeared to Abram and said, To your seed I will give this land. And He there built an altar to Yahuwah, who appeared to him, which is still to this day in the plains of Mamar.
Chapter 14. In those days there was in the land of Shinar a wise man who had understanding and all wisdom and a beautiful appearance, and he was poor and indigent. His name was Rekaim, and he was hard set to support himself. And he resolved to go to Egypt, to Osiris, the king, the son of Enam, king of Egypt, to show the king his wisdom, for perhaps he might find grace in his sight to raise him up and give him maintenance. And Rekaim did so. And when Rekaim came to Egypt, he asked the inhabitants of Egypt concerning the king, and the inhabitants of Egypt told him the customs of the king of Egypt. For it was then the custom of the king of Egypt that he went from his royal palace and was sent abroad only one day in the year, and after that the king would return to his palace to remain there. And on the day when the king went forth, he passed judgment in the land, and everyone having a suit came before the king that day to obtain his request. And when Micaiah heard of the custom in Egypt, and that he could not come into the presence of the king, he grieved greatly and was very sorrowful. And in the evening, Micaiah went out and found a house in ruins, formerly a bakehouse in Eden, and he abode there all night in bitterness of soul and pinched with hunger, and sleep was removed from his eyes. And Micaiah considered within himself what he should do in the town until the king made his appearance, and how he might maintain himself there. And he rose in the morning and walked about, and met in his way those who sold vegetables and various sorts of seed with which they supplied the inhabitants. And Micaiah wished to do the same in order to get a maintenance in the city, but he was unacquainted with the customs of the people, and he was like a blind man among them. And he went and obtained vegetables to sell them for his support. And the rabble assembled about him and ridiculed him, and took his vegetables from him, and left him nothing. And he rose up from there in bitterness of soul, and went sighing to the bakehouse in which he remained all the night before, and he slept there the second night. And on that night again he reasoned with himself how he could save himself from starvation, and he devised a scheme how to act. And he rose up in the morning and acted ingeniously, and went and hired 30 strong men of the rabble, carrying their war instruments in their hands. And he led them to the top of the Egyptian sepulchre, and he placed them there. And he commanded them, saying, Thus said the king, strengthen yourselves and be valiant men, and let no man be buried here until 200 pieces of silver be given, and then he may be buried. And those men did according to the order of Micaiah to the people of Egypt the whole of that year. And in 8 months' time, Micaiah and his men gathered great riches of silver and gold. And Micaiah took a great quantity of horses and animals, and he hired more men, and he gave horses, and they remained with him. When the year came round, at the time the king went forth into the town, all the inhabitants of Egypt assembled together to speak to him concerning the work of Micaiah and his men. And the king went forth on the appointed day, and all the Egyptians came before him and cried unto him, saying, May the king live forever. What is this thing that thou doest in the town to thy servants? Not to suffer a dead body to be buried until so much silver and gold be given. Was there ever like unto this done in the whole earth from the days of former kings? Yea, even from the days of Adam unto this day, that the dead should not be buried only for a price? And we know it to be the custom of kings to take a yearly tax from the living. But thou dost not only do this, but from the dead also thou exact a tax day by day. Now, king, we can no more bear this, for the whole city is ruined on this account, and thou dost not know it. And when the king heard all that they had spoken, he was very wroth, and his anger burned within him at this affair. He had known nothing of it. And the king said, Who and where is he that dare do this wicked thing in my land without my command? Surely will tell me. And they told him all the works of Micaiah and his men, and the king wroth, and he ordered his men to be brought before him. And Micaiah about 1,000 children, sons and daughters, and clothed them in silk embroidery. And he set them upon horses and sent them to the king by means of his men. And he also took a great quantity of silver and gold and precious stones and strong and beautiful horse as a present for the king, for with which he came before the king and bowed down to the earth before him. And the king, his servants, and all the inhabitants of Egypt wondered at the work of Rikayan, and they saw his riches and the present that he had brought to the king. And it greatly pleased the king, and he wondered at it. And when Rikayan sat before him, the king asked him concerning all his works, and Rikayan spoke all his words wisely before the king, his servants, and all the inhabitants of Egypt. And when the king heard the words of Rikayan and his wisdom, Rikayan found grace in his sight, and he met with grace and kindness from all the servants of the king and from all the inhabitants of Egypt, on account of his wisdom and excellent speeches, and from that they loved him exceedingly. And the king answered and said to Rikayan, thy name shall no more be called Rikayan, but Pharaoh shall be thy name, since thou didst exact a tax from the dead. And he called his name Pharaoh. And the king and his subjects loved Rikayan for his wisdom, and they consulted with all the inhabitants of Egypt to make him perfect under the king. All the inhabitants of Egypt and its wise men itself, and it was made a law of Egypt. And they made Rikayan Pharaoh perfect under Osiris king of Egypt, and Rikayan Pharaoh governed over Egypt, daily administering justice to the whole of the city. But Osiris the king would judge the people of the land one day in the year, when he went out to make his appearance. Rikayan Pharaoh cunningly usurped the government of Egypt, and he exacted a tax from all the inhabitants of Egypt. And all the inhabitants of Egypt greatly loved Rikayan Pharaoh, and they made a decree to every king that should reign over them and their seed in Egypt, Pharaoh. Therefore all the kings that reigned in Egypt from that time forward were called Pharaoh unto this day.
All righty. Chapter 15, Book of Jasher. And in that year there was a heavy famine throughout the land of Canaan, and the inhabitants of the land could not remain on account of the famine, for it was very grievous. And Abram and all belonging to him rose and went down to Egypt on account of the famine. And when they were at the brook of Mitzrayim, they remained there some time to rest from the fatigue of the road. And Abram and Sarai were walking at the border of the brook Mitzrayim. And Abram beheld his wife Sarai, that she was very beautiful. And Abram said to his wife Sarai, since God has created thee with such a beautiful countenance, I am afraid of the Egyptians, lest they should slay me and take thee away. For the fear of God is not in these places. Surely then thou shalt do this. Say, thou art my sister, to all that may ask thee, in order that it may be well with me, and that we may live and not be put to death. And Abram commanded the same to all those that came with him to Egypt on account of the famine. Also his nephew Lot he commanded, saying, if the Egyptians ask thee concerning Sarai, say, she is the sister of Abram. And yet with all these orders, Abram did not put confidence in them, but he took Sarai and placed her in a chest and concealed it among their vessels. For Abram was greatly concerned about Sarai on account of the wickedness of the Egyptians. And Abram and all belonging to him rose up from the brook Mitzrayim and came to Egypt. And they had scarcely entered the gates of the city when the guards stood up to them, saying, give tithe to the king from what you have, and then you may come into town. And Abram and those that were with him did so. And Abram, with the people that were with him, came to Egypt. And when they came, they brought the chest in which Sarai was concealed, and the Egyptians saw the chest. And the king's servants approached Abram, saying, what hast thou here in this chest, which we have not seen? Now open thou the chest, and give tithe to the king of all that it contains. And Abram said, this chest I will not open, but all you demand upon it I will give. And Pharaoh's officers answered Abram, saying, it is a chest of precious stones. Give us the tenth thereof. And Abram said, all that you desire I will give, but you must not open the chest. And the king's officers pressed Abram, and they reached the chest and opened it with force. And they saw, and behold, a beautiful woman was in the chest. And when the officers of the king beheld Sarai, they were struck with admiration at her beauty. And all the princes and servants of Pharaoh assembled to see Sarai, for she was very beautiful. And the king's officers ran and told Pharaoh all that they had seen. And they praised Sarai to the king, and Pharaoh ordered her to be brought. And the woman came before the king. And Pharaoh beheld Sarai, and she pleased him exceedingly, and he was struck with her beauty. And the king rejoiced greatly on her account, and made presents to those who brought him the tidings concerning her. And the woman was then brought to Pharaoh's house, and Abram grieved on account of his wife, and he prayed to the Lord to deliver her from the hands of Pharaoh. And Sarai also prayed at that time and said, O Lord God, thou didst tell my lord Abram to go from his land and from his father's house to the land of Canaan, and thou didst promise to do well with him if he would perform thy commands. Now, behold, we have done that which thou didst command us, and we left our land and our families, and we went to a strange land and to a people whom we have not known before. And we came to this land to avoid the famine, and this evil accident has befallen me. Now, therefore, O Lord God, deliver us and save us from the hand of this oppressor, and do well with me for the sake of thy mercy. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Sarai, and the Lord sent an angel to deliver Sarai from the power of Pharaoh. And the king came and sat before Sarai, and behold, an angel of the Lord was standing over them. And he appeared to Sarai and said to her, Do not fear, for the Lord has heard thy prayer. And the king approached Sarai and said to her, What is that man to thee who brought thee thither? And she said, He is my brother. And the king said, It is incumbent upon us to make him great, to elevate him, and to do unto him all the good which thou shalt command us. And at that time the king sent us Abram silver and gold and precious stones in abundance, together with cattle, men servants, and maid servants. And the king ordered Abram to be brought, and he sat in the court of the king's house, and the king greatly exalted Abram on that night. And the king approached to speak to Sarai, and he reached out his hand to touch her, when the angel smote him heavily, and he was terrified, and he refrained from reaching to her. And when the king came near to Sarai, the angel smote him to the ground, and acted thus to him the whole night. And the king was terrified. And the angel on that night smote heavily all the servants of the king, and his whole household, on account of Sarai. And there was a great lamentation that night amongst the people of Pharaoh's house. And Pharaoh, seeing the evil that befell him, said, Surely on account of this woman has this thing happened to me. And he removed himself at some distance from her, and spoke pleasing words to her. And the king said to Sarai, Tell me, I pray thee, concerning the man with whom thou camest here. And Sarai said, This man is my husband, and I said to thee that he was my brother, for I was afraid lest thou shouldst put him to death through wickedness. And the king kept away from Sarai, and the plagues of the angel of the Lord ceased from him and his household. And Pharaoh knew that he was smitten on account of Sarai, and the king was greatly astonished at this. And in the morning the king called for Abram and said to him, What is this that thou hast done to me? Why didst thou say, She is my sister? Owing to which I took her unto me for a wife. And this heavy plague has therefore come upon me and my household. Now therefore, here is thy wife, take her, and go from our land, lest we all die on her account. And Pharaoh took more cattle, men servants and maidservants, and silver and gold to give to Abram. And he returned unto him Sarai his wife. And the king took a maiden, whom he begat by his concubines, and he gave her to Sarai for a handmaid. And the king said to his daughter, It is better for thee, my daughter, to be a handmaid in this man's house than to be a mistress in my house, after we have beheld the evil that befell us on the account of this woman. And Abram arose, and he and all belonging to him went away from Egypt. And Pharaoh ordered some of his men to accompany him, and all that went with him. And Abram returned to the land of Canaan, to the place where he had made the altar, where he had pitched his tent. And Lot, the son of Haran, Abram's brother, had a heavy stock of cattle, flocks, and herds in tents, for the Lord was bountiful to them on account of Abram. And when Abram, dwelling in the land of the herdsmen of Lot, quarreled with the herdsmen of Abram, for their property was too great for them to remain together in the land, and the land could not bear them on account of their cattle. And when Abram's herdsmen went to feed their flock, they would not go into the fields of the people of the land, but the cattle of Lot's herdsmen did otherwise. for they were suffered to feed in the fields of the people of the land. And the people of the land saw this occurrence daily. And they came to Abram and quarreled with him on account of Lot's herdsmen. And Abram said to Lot, "What is this thou art doing to me? To make me despicable to the inhabitants of the land, that thou orderedst thy herdsmen to feed thy cattle in the fields of other people. Dost not thou know that I am a stranger in this land amongst the children of Canaan? And why wilt thou do this unto me?" And Abram quarreled daily with Lot on account of this. But Lot would not listen to Abram, and he continued to do the same. And the inhabitants of the land came and told Abram. And Abram said unto Lot, "How long wilt thou be to me for a stumbling block with the inhabitants of the land? Now I beseech thee, let there be no more quarreling between us, for we are kinsmen. But I pray thee, separate from me. Go and choose a place where thou mayest dwell with thy cattle and all belonging to thee. But keep thyself at a distance from me, thou and thy household. And be not afraid in going from me. For if anyone do an injury to thee, let me know, and I will avenge thy cause from him. Only remove from me." And when Abram had spoken all these words to Lot, then Lot arose and lifted up his eyes toward the plain of Jordan. And he saw that the whole of this place was well watered, and good for man as well as affording pasture for the cattle. And Lot went from Abram to that place, and he there pitched his tent, and he dwelt in Sodom. And they were separated from each other. And Abram dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron. And he pitched his tent there, and Abram remained in that place many years. Okay, thanks for coming by. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go back and look at chapter 13. Let's see, we gotta go backwards. There we go. Okay, so this is the beginning where we have in verse 4, right? The biggest words in Scripture. If you will keep my commandments, my statutes, and my laws, then. So if, then, it's a contract. It's a contract. If you obey me, if you are going to be my dude and follow me, you have to follow all my laws and go by my rules. As long as you live under my roof.
See ya. No, just kidding. I found interesting was the constant reminding that Yahuwah did to Abram. Like he said it repeatedly. Like he told him to do something, then Abraham did it, and then when Abraham, like he told him, and then Abraham went. Abraham arrived. Yahuwah confirmed again what he said over here before Abraham went. If you do, it kept like the same thing. If you do this, this is what I'll do. So even though that, I find that was like a repetitive thing. Like Abba just said, okay, this is what I want you to do. This is what I'm going to give you if you do this. So then Abraham goes and walks in faith. He arrives. Then Yahuwah says it again, exactly the same. This is what I'm going to do if you do this. And then time passes, and then he keeps going, and then Abba says, it's like it's on and on and on and on and on. Like he keeps repeating it again and again and again. It's like,
isn't it the same thing in Scripture too?
Yeah, like in just one. Well, I mean, this is a very condensed chapter about this particular migration of Abram, but it's like, what a parent does to their child when they're wee, right? Like, okay. And then we arrive. See, we did this because. Now let's do. It's like a play by play.
That's the kind of the same thing I was thinking too. It's like teaching a toddler how to walk.
Play by play. Yeah, like
you stay right here, and I'm going to go over there, and then you walk over to me.
Mm-hmm. And see, you walked over to me. So now, if you walk over, like it was like it's almost like. Well, kind of, it's reminding me a little bit of what I was thinking about this morning reading. Is like, it's a test, it's a trial. right? These events need to happen. These pivotal moments need to happen again and again and again to show you that I'm God, to show you that I'm faithful, to show you. So we have to do it again and again and again and again. And what's really cool is that Abba reminds them every single time. Like every single time. So that's just
fantastic. What about this in verse 9?
9. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So Noah dies.
Yeah.
Noah checks out.
I was more like shocked about Nimrod over here because I haven't read through the whole book of Jasher before. I've just like, cherry picked. Yeah, just cherry picked. So that was kind of cool. Like Nimrod was potentially still alive.
But Noah doesn't give you pause.
No, because I already knew that he was only a couple years old after. I mean, he only had a couple years left after Abraham left the cave.
Okay. So, what were you going to say, Lynn?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, that is kind of interesting how Nimrod gets a little cocky. You know what? Well, it says all these people in verse 11, I think. Yeah. Revolted. They rebelled. Against the king.
This must have been some king, the one that I couldn't pronounce properly.
Chedorlaomer.
What does it say in your translation?
Chedorlaomer.
Kedorlaomer. Kedor. We'll just call him Kedor.
Cheddar cheese. King Cheddar.
The Cheese King. He must have been some, I've never heard of him before. We all have heard of Nimrod, in history, as a god, as an idol, but I've never heard of this king before.
Yep. Well, Nimrod, though, had a bigger role in rebellion against what Noah was commanded. Go forth and replenish the earth. And Nimrod said, no, we're not going to replenish the earth. Let's all stay here and we'll build a tower and take over heaven. And kill God. So
this
Nimrod
Mardon, that was Mardon, that's Nimrod's son in chapter 15.
It was, it says the king's son. Is that him?
Or
is that Nimrod's son or Chedorlaomer's son?
I thought it was Cheese King's son.
The Cheese King?
Or wait, hang on. Well, yeah.
Because they're not referring to Nimrod as a king here, right?
No, they weren't.
Chedorlaomer.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes
That makes sense that because Chedorlaomer's the main king they're talking about right here. But interesting, Nimrod fled and returned in shame and disgrace to his land.
I know, right?
And then he became a subject.
Very interesting.
Bummer.
Everybody gets their comeuppance.
Yep. Like that Johnny Cash song. Sooner or later, God will cut you down.
Something like that.
Okay. So So again, in verse 18, now therefore walk before me and be perfect and keep my commandments.
We should have counted. I should have highlighted how many times.
You don't have enough highlighters.
I'm ready. Well, I also liked, where does it say where he was like, my laws, oh wait, therefore walk before me and be perfect and guard my commands. No, that's not the one. Where's the one where it says my commands, my Torah, my laws, my whatever? Where is that?
Up higher,
Is it a little bit higher? Not too much, right? 15th year.
verse 4.
Shut up. It's not, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, see? Like I thought that was really interesting because we always wonder about like how thorough were Abba's instructions for his people that he picked. Now his people weren't like a massive group of people yet. His people were just like, you know, not random, that's not the word, but like there wasn't like a group of people that were called his people. There were people that were identified as his people, right? So,
Right. He had no offspring at this point.
right. So I just found it really interesting, like as verse 4 that, therefore, if you will hearken to my voice and guard my commandments, my statutes, and my Torah. Okay, so there was some level of understanding of what Abba wanted his people to do.
Yep.
And how he wanted to do them and when he wanted them to
That
be
there
done.
was. So let's go to 14 now that they're down there.
Okay.
Let's see. So this talks about Rekayon. And he's all wisdom and understanding. He had understanding and all wisdom, and he was handsome. He was a beautiful appearance. But he was poor and indigent. So he was a beggar. And he goes to Egypt. And then he gets this scheme going. And this is really what I looked at. He gets a scheme going that he's able to tax the dead. It's like, wait, aren't they doing that right now? And isn't the end system, the end beast system called spiritually Sodom and Gomorrah? Or I'm sorry, Sodom and Egypt, not Sodom and Gomorrah, Sodom and Egypt. Okay. Yeah.
My jaw is sore. I'm sorry. I'm just massaging it.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in to Hootie and the Blowfish. Okay. The what? Which one's Hootie? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So how is that? I mean, he comes down and he's able to trick everybody into paying taxes for everything.
Nothing new under the sun.
I know. Isn't that essentially how it all goes? Well, you can't do that without paying me a tax.
Yeah. Because people are not living according to their identity, right? Like when they want a king,
Right.
you know, they want someone to tell them. They want someone to be the go-between. They don't want to take responsibility and authority and leadership over their life or over their home or over their community, blah, blah, blah.
And that was the last word redo, right? That Samuel made all Israel swear in front of the anointed King Saul and Yah himself that he didn't owe them anything, that he hadn't taken anything he wasn't supposed to, and made them swear it. And then after he gets them to acknowledge that, he lays down he gives them the smackdown. He's all, you rejected God and demanded a man king.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, even in the previous reading before that, you know, God, Yah, told Samuel, it's not you that they're rejecting me.
Yeah.
I could come into each one of their houses and bless everything they do, but they're rejecting me. So anyway, we see that here because, like you just said, people want to be ruled over.
It's the same thing in the body and in the church. Like, we depend so heavily on the person that's at the front or that's teaching, or we don't take responsibility for what we are called as individuals to do, right? So then we just are passively sitting there in the pew or at home on the couch listening to a teaching or whatever it is, right? We're not being proactive. We're leaving it to whoever we think should be leading or teaching or whatever it is.
Or just succumbing to it.
Or it's just, yeah, or just succumbing to it, I guess. Yeah.
Oh,
And then you're
okay.
habitually, pardon?
I can't grow edibles in my front yard. I have to have a lawn. Okay. What do you mean I can't grow medicinal herbs in my front yard?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is craziness. You can't be buried unless you pay 200 pieces of silver. That's quite a bit. And then all these people go and complain to the king of Egypt. Hey, these bodies are starting to stink. And so then after he gets all these people together and sends them to the king in front of himself, and then the king declares that he's going to be called Pharaoh. That Rakaion's going to be called Pharaoh, not the king, because he was able to tax the dead. And so that's why after that, all the kings of Egypt were known as
Pharaohs. And they're heavily focused on what happens once you die, or how you die, or what happens to your body once you've died, and then what they do with those elements while you're dead.
It's some weird stuff. Embalming. Hey, we're going to pull your brain out through your nose, and then we're going to put your heart in a jar.
Put them all in these special things in this special location, and then
I still want a Viking funeral.
very romantic.
Or the one the Plains Indians do, where they build the funeral pyre. You go to sleep on top of it, and then they just burn you to death.
Oh, so you're not dead. They just put you there alive, and then they burn you to death?
Well, but you're like definitely in your last throes. You're like, it's time to go to sleep.
I would prefer to just die and then be dealt with that way.
And then, yeah.
Yeah. The sad thing about the Viking thing is them putting the young maiden on the boat with you.
Oh.
To be burned alive with you.
Oh, my battery's going to die on my computer. Just a second. I have to go get my cord. Hang on.
Your teats? Okay, while she's gone, let's go to chapter 15.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm coming. Just give me a minute. Okay.
Time's up and your camera's off.
I'm here. Okay. Making sure it's plugged in. Okay. You may commence.
Okay, chapter 15.
Okay.
So this whole thing about going into Egypt because of the famine, and then he's all paranoid about Sarai's beauty. you know what? Let's lie and tell everybody. Well, it's a half lie. Tell everybody you're my sister, but not my wife. But just as a double measure, get in this steamer trunk, and we're gonna sneak in. We're gonna sneak you in, so nobody can see you.
It makes me think of white lies.
White
Like,
lies.
It's a white lie. Me and my youngest will have an argument because, like, the little lies that she tells are harmless. They're like, those ones where you're trying to keep something to surprise someone, or you're trying to, like, they're not like, it feels awkward even to say it. They're not harmful, but at the same time, a lie is a lie. There's no such thing as a white lie. There's no such thing as a white witch. Like, a lie cannot be not a lie. A witch cannot not be a witch. So it's just interesting, like, this little, like, even though it's like a half truth, there's no such thing as half truth. It's like, it's either a truth or a lie, a deception.
Jesus has a sister.
Pardon?
Jesus has a sister.
Jesus, well, huh?
Jesus is his half. She is his half sister.
Who is?
Sarah. That's right.
Right, but I mean, what I mean is,
So
like,
it's not really a lie. But just in case, we're gonna put you in the trunk.
Yeah.
has to, like, is it the is it the same generation? Like,
So-
meaning, like, is it like,
So they have
Wasn't
the
it-
same father.
So listen to this. Talking about white lies, you reminded me. There is this dude. His name's Kenneth McDonald,
okay,
and he was raised in witchcraft and paganism, I think, and then ended up in prison for, basically his whole life, and then he died. But one of the things he said was people, we grow up thinking or being told that little white lies are okay. No, every single thing that I said that was to be mean or that was a falsehood was just burning in my mouth, and I had to keep saying it over and over. And the more I said it, the more it burned. He said it was horrible.
His testimony. Yeah.
Yeah, his testimony is awesome. Look it up. Kenneth McDonald.
Yeah.
And his testimony is on the channel called Lifted, LYFTED. Anyways, I just wanted everybody to take a look at that because it's pretty
interesting.
impressive. Yep. And
You
let's see.
are on that posted link. Okay.
Yeah. So what about? Well, this is just kind of mind-boggling. So then Sarai gets in there with Pharaoh, and he's like, ha ha ha, right? I mean, he's all thinking he's gonna be getting some chocolate chip nookies, and
Yeah.
he goes, even just reaches out to touch. He gets his hand smacked like a toddler from The Invisible Babysitter. And he's like, whoa, I don't like that. Can you imagine that? Every time you're reaching out for something you want, and wham, by something you can't see. Okay, so basically adulthood. All right. Anyways.
No. And no.
No. Okay. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So how about this? Pharaoh's like, hey, I'm going to take this dude's sister, and sends Abram all this gold and silver and servants, and then realizes that she's the cause of all the problems in his household.
She's not. He
So then he
is.
sends Abram more silver, more gold.
Yeah.
And he's like, get out of my country. Get out. I don't want anything. You're just a magnet for problems. And what happened to the famine? How long have they been there that he's able to go back to where he built the altar?
Oh,
Or-
interesting.
Or does gold and silver override famine?
Depends if you're the leader.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm just speculating because
Because
They
he could use it as leverage, right, to his people,
Yeah.
because he has lots of peoples. Not leverage in a bad way, but as a leader or as a ruler or as some kind of, you know.
but look at this timeline because they left Canaan because of the famine.
Yeah.
Immediately going to Egypt where she had to get in the trunk.
Well, it might have taken a little while.
She had to get in the trunk. You know, that's like coming from Mexico and they're like, open the trunk of your car, please. Yeah.
Imagine how hot it would have been in there.
You don't need to look in the trunk of my car.
Oh my gosh.
These are not the droids you're looking for. Right? So then I'm thinking we're looking at like what?
A few years for sure.
Years? I don't know. I don't think
Well,
it's that long.
famine. Okay. Well, I mean, you have when a famine ends, you still need time. You still need time.
Or was he just given so much stuff that they could haul it all up there?
Maybe.
I don't know. The whole thing is a very strange telling.
Yes, it is. The way, the timeline, and
Yes. Do you think the trunk? Never mind. That I was going to say. Do you think the trunk had a big handle on it? Ding, 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 ding. No.
focus, grasshopper.
And then all of a sudden the Sarai pops up. Surprise. No.
I wonder how old she was.
10 years younger than Abraham, so 65.
And she was still that stunning. Let's move on.
Okay. So this will probably get us banned, but she had good genes.
She did.
Yeah.
Yep. Levi's. They were the best.
All right. So that's pretty much where this ends up, except we have, without her being named, the daughter of the king is given to Sarai for a handmaid. And we know
Right.
that's going to be Haggai, right? So Haggai was Egyptian.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. And then, actually, it's not where it ends up. It ends up with Lot and Abram parting ways. And so Lot, being young, he's like, look at this bountiful land where it's all green and lush. I'll take that.
So then, like that, I always tell my girls when I'm talking about this particular story
Uh-huh.
is that he had no honor right from the beginning.
Lot?
Yeah,
So do
because
you think-
his posture should have been to prefer his uncle or his uncle, right? Cousin, uncle.
Uncle.
Number one, because he's like higher up in the hierarchy, and he's older. There's just like etiquette. So the way they've communicated it here and in even our just regular text is, like I've always just told the girls, it's it's actually a red flag right from the beginning. You can tell that he just didn't have any honor in him to begin with. He was weak in that way, selfish, just by jumping the gun and not offering it to, not that he was in a position to offer it, but give preference and choice to Abram.
Right. Well, and it's spelled out a little bit differently in the book of Genesis, right? Because Abram does that. Abram's the one that makes the offer in Genesis.
Right, but he's like, I think still.
If you take the right hand, I'll take the left, and if you take the left hand, I'll take the right.
But you could still, as a servant, it's just still type of honor. It's
True,
still
but Lot's this kind of prodigal son too, sort of at this point.
Yes, I know. He is vindicated sort of cruelly, but yes.
Well, look where he chose to live.
I know.
I don't need to listen to you. I'm moving to San Francisco. I'm moving to New Orleans. To heck with your farm. Okay.
If you're
Okay.
going to San
Picked on
Francisco.
poor Lot enough.
You're right. He's
Although-
been forgiven.
Although notice though, Lot was essentially the first farmer taking advantage of open range, just letting his cattle eat wherever. In fact, guiding them to go eat in other people's fields and stuff. So, okay. Anyways, so that is Jasher 13, 14, 15, and you got to tune in for the next ones because 16, 17, 18. Yeah, we're going to see why Yeshua told us about the days of Lot. We're going to see that. Yeah. You're going to be like, why isn't this on the front page of every newspaper in the world? Why do you think they did away with newspapers? Okay. Anyways, thank you for reading, Lynn. Thank you for reading, Gwen. Everybody, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell thingamajigger, and have a beautiful day. Love you all.